players, the personalities who come from around the world to play professional soccer in the United States.
Go, go, USA! Oh, it's incredible!
In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue, the other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
Yeah,
Yay!
it's the USA Hour of the Schnitzel Boys. Hello,
Yeah.
Stefan. Happy
Hello.
Memorial Day. It's a Memorial Day in the USA.
It's Memorial Day in the USA, which prompts me to my first question, Bjorn. What would you say is your most memorable soccer memory? I was going to say American soccer memory, but I can probably answer that for you, so you can answer that. And then, in addition to the American soccer memory, say most memorable soccer memory ever.
Oof. Wow. That's hard.
I know, because I was trying to answer myself. I'm like, I don't even know, man.
So many.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in person, on TV, in the. I mean, I have so many come to mind. That Mario Götze winner in the
Right.
2014 final was
Yeah,
pretty.
was
That was pretty good.
Was that a beer hall in Brooklyn?
That was
Great points.
no. I was at home with my son.
I was. Yeah.
Oh, you were at a beer hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you asked. Was that at a beer hall? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Huge. That was a big. That stands out recently. I mean, I also remember the Andy Brehme penalty against Argentina in 1990. That was a while ago, but that was also big. And Franz Beckenbauer sort of walking on the field after. I mean, MLS Cup Final 2021 was pretty exciting. That was an up and down. Also, that semifinal in Philly. Also, that right before was up there.
COVID game.
The COVID
Yeah.
game.
Well,
was-
so I was gonna say, your most memorable American soccer memory, I assumed was at that winning the 2021 MLS Cup. I would say.
Yeah, I
but
think
would you
so.
say maybe the Philly game was more memorable, the semifinal game?
It was just as memorable. I mean, because we fell behind and it was really tense, and those people are so mean. I mean, also the one last year was pretty memorable too. Not last year, year before, 2022, when we lost to Philly in the Eastern Conference Final, and we had a lead briefly and then lost. That was also pretty memorable in a bad way. So
This is the real one, right? This is the real one right here from Daniel Young in the chat. My most memorable soccer memory be attending Man City Chelsea at Yankee Stadium, which I'm sure was a full house, with grandfather, who later passed away in 2016. Rest in peace to your grandfather, Daniel Young. But it's good you got to share that memory. That's actually a good variable. The best memories are the ones you get to share with someone. Like you said, you watched Mario Götze score with your son. So that's the first thing that came to your mind.
No, that's true, and that reminds me of a game. This was just a regular season game that we the NYCFC against DC United, but my late father-in-law Bob Sale was there, and he was not a big soccer guy. I made him wear a T-shirt, and it was a crazy game because we fell behind late, and then 2 Lampard goals in stoppage time turned it around for a victory, and the place just went nuts, and it's like a crazy. And Bob was like, "Well, it's soccer. It's pretty good," and I was like, "Yeah, this is as good
when
as
you
it gets."
feel it, you get to share. When I went to Miami to bring my whole family to a game, it's interesting. I usually go alone a lot to be able to. It's like a place where I feel. It is a lot of ways my church, and it's interesting to be able to share that with someone.
Yeah.
You should watch this too. and then get in there too. And I brought people to LAFC games before. I might be bringing a friend to a game this Wednesday, and it's always interesting sharing that experience with
the people you're with, it's important. Yeah, I remember, the early NYCFC playoff road games. They did not go well, but they were exciting in that way. There was a group of people that traveled to Toronto and Columbus, Ohio, respectively, and it was just kind of like, yeah, this is, the beginning of something. We're gonna do this, and even though those particular games went poorly,
and all those
still
guys
felt
in that group are probably no longer fans anymore.
Oh, I see a bunch of them around. Yeah, there was a guy in the Columbus game. There was a guy who I just met on the plane, and we shared a rental car because we were flying into Cincinnati.
Oh, really? Right when you guys landed?
Flying into Cincinnati. And then driving to Columbus, and I saw him, and he had the gear on. I was like, hey, if you want, we both had rental cars booked. Like, we really only need one. And,
right.
And,
that's the spirit, because we only
and
get to
he
share
was,
one parking spot.
Yeah, and he was happy because he, it turned out, was this gave him an opportunity to drink heavily, which was
no, but I love it because yes and life. You don't know what's going on.
And he now has 2 children. I see him all the time. Him and his wife.
He's sobered up.
I see him all the time at.
Well, hold on, real quick.
Yankee
Let's go
Stadium.
back. So you rented this car,
Yeah.
splitting the cost, and you assume you'd split driving, but you end up becoming the de facto.
No, it was
DD.
I don't know how this decision was made, but we decided to stick with my rental car and not his.
Okay.
I forget why that was.
Yeah, because you
And
rented
then
a Hummer and he rented.
And then and then
Kia.
I was happy to. I'm happy to drive. I like driving. I'm not a huge. I'm not a huge drinker at sports events. Like it's not a problem for me. So yeah, no, I was happy to drive.
Yeah,
I
very
like driving.
Yeah, no, very cool. I love it. You know what? I had a kind of experience like that, but I was like rebuffed, and it made me mad. Like how do I say? I might have brought this up before. I went to go see Bayern München play Juventus in Philly like 4 or 5 years ago when that friendly was happening, and it was a lot of fun. I got to see young Chris Richards for the first time, and it was a good game. And it was raining,
Yeah.
with a poncho, and I took the bus down there from New York, and then after the game, we'll take the bus back up. And then waiting at the bus stop in Philly for the bus was a bunch of people in Bayern Munich jerseys sitting across from me. And I was also in a Bayern Munich jersey. And I tried to talk to them, but they did not reciprocate. I was like, good game. They're like, yep. Because we won or something. And I was like, yeah. So I would try to conversate, and they were just giving one-word answers to be like, let's end this conversation. And I was like, because this isn't at the stadium, mind you. This is at the Philly bus stop. And there was a whole bunch of us. Like, one lady was going back to Maine. She came all the way down from Maine to watch the game. And it's like, listen, we're all in Bayern Munich gear. Like, we automatically know we have something in common. It's designed. It's designed in the environment that we're all waiting for the bus. We're all Bayern München fans here in America. It's a German soccer club. There's no way you're tired of all this Bayern München fandom in your life, as you walk around your daily life. So it kind of blew my mind that they were not open to connect. And I was like,
Yeah. No,
right.
the NYCFC. I've met a lot of people at NYCFC road games, and it's been and a lot of them I run into all the time. It's a cool thing. Yeah, but
cool thing.
the community part is big.
Well, speaking of, so Daniel Young, you took a bus up to see New England. You paid $10 for the away ticket and a free bus ride to and from.
I
stadium.
saw this. The team was offering free bus rides to.
Every team should do that.
Yeah.
That's the spirit. When LA Galaxy goes to San Jose, there should be a fleet of buses for free, ready to go for the day.
I have to excuse myself for 1 second. I will be right back.
No worries, no worries. I did hear that knocking on your chamber door. Yeah, I heard a knock on there. But yeah, I think, especially because we're not Europe. In the United States, we're just one of the drawbacks to soccer here versus soccer to a place like Europe in a lot of places, it's just to travel somewhere. In Germany, you can go hop on the train and go to any game you want. England, same thing. If Hamburg in the north is playing Munich in the south, it's a long train ride, but you can do it. Or a quick, cheap flight. It's not a big deal. Here in the United States, New York to LA is a serious thing. Even LA to San Jose, that's a 5 or a 6 hour a bus ride. But still should be worth it. And if you're in New York, Philly, Boston, DC, there should be constant free buses going up and down. I was just talking about how easy it is to be an away fan in Europe, but here in the United States, it's more challenging.
No, in Germany, it's true.
Yeah.
My parents live
nice.
within driving distance of like 10 or 11 clubs. That's true. Yeah.
Right, and even if it is, like I was saying, Hamburg versus Bayern, it's a cheap Ryanair flight. Or a long train ride. You can do one. It's an option. Like you can do it in 1 day, 2 days tops. But here in the States, it's a rare gift that you get to drive to an away game. But the club should put forth effort with a fleet of buses to make it easier.
The NYCFC, they do this frequently, either to Philly or New England. It's very, very cool. I mean, I love going to away games anyway. It's a great thing. I mean, I've gone as far. Well, I guess Portland was the furthest. I've gone or LA, where I went to those games.
Right.
We went to those games together. Yeah, it's cool, great, and we stole that game. I mean,
I didn't see the whole New England game, but I saw
think,
the scoreless up through towards the end, right?
I think stealing it is a bit of a
From New England?
Is a bit of a stretch. Yeah, I mean they weren't great, but it was not our best game. We've had quite the run. This is 7 out of the last 8 we've won, 4 in a row. But this was not the best one of the bunch. We've had more convincing. This was kind of a little bit of a meh effort all around. Carlos Gil had a lot of space, but New England is pretty hopeless. And Matty Freeze made the saves like he does these days. And then Keaton Parks got a late header, and that was good enough. It was great.
Yeah, and you guys are third place, and you're on a little winning streak. All of a sudden, Nick Cushing is a genius coach.
Nick Cushing, I have said this always. Underrated manager. Yeah, I mean Cushing very much in right now for sure. It's everything's clicking. The only unhappy man is Thales Magno. He can't get on the field. I think he probably needs another team at this point.
Is that team in MLS or is that team in Brazil?
Who knows? He was linked to Bologna or like an Italian team. So I don't know I don't know why an Italian Serie A
That's an upgrade. You can't get an NYCFC starting lineup. So off to Champions League Bologna, I guess.
I don't know, but
the Bologna owner is MLS owner Joey Saputo, so there's a little bit of a
perhaps that's why
synergy there.
Yeah, it's but yeah, no, everything's going wild, and everything's going well, and we're playing San Jose at home on Friday night. That's
a Friday.
Yeah, weirdly,
that's an MLS game on a Friday.
We have Friday night game. This is probably baseball schedule related. I bet.
Gotcha. I was gonna say it's not an MLS. Well, I will say MLS does need to have more special appointment games. I feel that sometimes it's an early game, but that's about it.
Yeah,
in my opinion, there should be an early game Saturday, and there should be an early and a late game on a Sunday too every weekend.
Yeah, because it's a lot to keep track of otherwise. And I mean, we've talked about this before. I miss a lot of stuff. If you go to a live game, and then by the time you get home, it's mostly over, or it's just the late shift. Right. And so, it's true. I definitely, under this new Apple regime, I see a lot less MLS than I did before. Funny enough.
Me too.
Funny enough. And
I have access to more of it, but any fan just wants to watch a game live. It's hard to watch a game not live. If it's not live, you tend to go watch the highlights, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're not right. I mean, I think I also have a policy against that. I mean, every once in a while, but it's like, yeah, then if you're going to start like recording, in the days of DVRs and VCRs, it's like if you start recording sports to watch later, like where's it going to end? Like it's going to be
but
like you're going to be.
Like if I'm at work and I really want to experience it later, I'll do it later.
But only that's got to be like World Cup or something really big. But
in a place like the Bundesliga, they do things like the opposite. There's 9 games every weekend, and you can watch 5 or 6 of them live if you want because they're in a row. They don't overlap. So technically, you can watch the whole thing if you want, for the most part. MLS is the exact opposite. They're just like, nope. It's like you watch your team.
It's all at the
Maybe
same time.
you can watch an East Coast West Coast game. You can watch 2 games in a row if you want. That's it.
I will say that MLS 360 is doing a much better job
I don't watch
this
much
year.
of it too much.
this year.
Yeah.
It's much more. It's just more games. It's just more games. It's just less people yakking and more showing games as they're happening, and that's really the ticket. You don't
as it
need
should
you don't
be.
need a lot of analysis. There's a lot of games. There's games going on. Just show
the game.
show what's happening.
Yeah.
You guys didn't play, right?
No,
Red Bulls
I
were
was going
off?
to say, I've nothing to. We had a bye this weekend, which
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't really get buys. I don't get the unbalanced schedule. Every team, there's
Yeah,
30
especially
clubs
because
in the
there's
league,
no
right?
more. Right, we're at 30,
We're an even
right?
set of clubs, I believe. Or am I
14
wrong?
and no, we're 29. 29. That's true. That's why.
Well,
So
now
there's always-
I understand the bye.
There's always somebody off. Yeah, because
thought we were at 30. I thought we were at 30.
until
San
who
Diego
is it?
comes
San
in.
Diego
Yeah.
comes online. Then it's so somebody's always off. Right.
And I haven't
this-
even fully appreciated that yet, by the way. I have a new team I can go see games at. So I'm excited.
Oh, San Diego. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's you're gonna take the free bus to San Diego.
Or like San Diego and Vegas. I love going to both those places. So if they
Oh.
both get MLS clubs, sign me up. I can go to 2
Nirvana.
LA teams. I can go to San Jose, and go to Vegas, then go to San Diego.
But you
but-
also have this you have the flexible support thing going. That works in your
That's
favor.
not
You
why.
can get
That's
excited.
not why.
I mean,
not why.
I would never.
That would be me going to Red Bulls games because I can go to, if they go to a lot. But also, I just like to go to games. I would go as a neutral. I wouldn't be like, I'm not driving to Vegas to root for Vegas. I'm just going to check out the vibes, see what the stadium's like. Maybe see what the Vegas fans are like, that kind of thing. Like San Diego, I went to see a USA game in San Diego. Love the stadium, love the drive, love the city. Am I going to be a San Diego FC fan? I mean, maybe. Maybe that's my new West Coast team. However, right now I'm just going to go.
It's a beautiful thing. This flexibility.
I mean, when the New York Red Bulls lost last weekend, I felt it. I mean, I'm a New York Red Bulls fan. However, in this bonkers league of ours, like, which brings me up to my sort of next point.
Okay.
I guess. So Vancouver played Inter Miami today. Of course, the big news is all the stupid heads being stupid with their stupid heads, being like, "Oh, well, we paid for Messi. We get Messi. Why no Messi?" And Vancouver had to email everybody and give them all a free ticket, which they didn't have to do, but they did, to be like, "Oh, there's no Messi today." I can't hear any more of that. That's not how sports works.
Yeah.
I love it.
People gotta
I love
suck it
it.
up. People
We
gotta
ta-
suck it up.
We talked about it before. I just love it when they're just like, "Why Messi wasn't there?" Blah, blah, blah. That's not how sports works. That's not how team sports works.
No
You're being-
guarantees.
I love the fact that all these people are being butthurt over. Now, granted, shame on Ticketmaster for price gouging these folks. That's also part of the equation. But that's neither here nor there. This weekend was the first time in MLS history Vancouver played Miami. Isn't that crazy?
That's not that crazy.
Well,
we're
but
gonna
Inter Miami's
we're
what, is
gonna
it, the
play.
third or fourth season already.
We're
Right?
gonna play Austin for the first time in a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
but that's also crazy. I'm not saying that's all crazy.
okay. Well,
Why
it's,
hasn't
it's
Vancouver? Why haven't Vancouver played Miami in the last 3 seasons? It's weird.
because they're in different conferences, and a lot of now that there is, it's just math, man.
No, it's not math. How
No,
come?
we
in
have-
your- how come? Then let me ask you this question:
We have
How does
15
your math explain the New York Red Bulls won West Coast game the last 2 years were against LAFC, and they have never played that. They have not played LA Galaxy either of those seasons. Why was it? Why wasn't it LAFC 1 year, LA Galaxy the next year? Riddle me that.
You've played LAFC multiple times over the last.
We played them this season and last season.
okay.
I went to both as a fan.
That I
LAFC
can't-
is the West Coast club. They go and they play.
That I
And I'm
can't
like,
explain. Maybe
But
that
why
is
aren't they playing LA
maybe,
Galaxy? You
Maybe
know?
that is a market thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how these decisions are made. But the math is there's 34 league games. You have 15 teams in the conference now, in the Eastern Conference. So, and you play each of those twice. So that's 28 games. So then you have 6 You're going to play 6
Western
out of
Conference
14.
trips.
You're going to play 6 out of 14 Western Conference teams in
And
each
in
given
3
year.
seasons,
So
that is, and in 3, let's do math here. In 3 seasons,
three
that's how many
seasons,
games?
in 3 seasons, that's 18 games. So in
18
3
games.
seasons,
How many teams are in the Western Conference?
14. That's what I'm saying.
Boom. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your math doesn't add up.
All right.
That's 4 opportunities that they missed playing Vancouver for some reason the last 3 seasons.
How long has Austin been around?
2 seasons?
Through
Something
the
else.
year? No, this is got to be their third or fourth.
Third year. Did they come at the same time? Did Miami and Austin come at the same time?
I think so. And hold on.
I just find it odd that certain teams don't play each other, but certain teams play. each
Yeah,
other
I do
often.
too. I have a friend in Austin. We've been for years saying, "Oh, we got to," and then this is finally the year. NYCFC is playing in Austin, but he's not around. He's going to Europe at the time, so we got to. I guess we're going to wait another 4 years to make that happen.
Yeah, when the New York Red Bulls played.
Keir
Vancouver-
Randall, why are you going to Europe? Anyway,
Who's Keir Randall?
Keir is my friend in Austin.
Oh, he's not a player. He's just a guy.
His name is Keir. Yeah.
Oh, we talked about this. You're not going to Austin this year because he's out of town, and then finally
Right,
playing.
exactly.
Right.
So they came in 2021, so this is their fourth season. So that's
Yeah,
also
right.
weird. That's also weird by your logic. We should have played.
Yeah,
them
I'm telling
earlier.
you. It's,
Yeah.
Thank you. You were arguing with me. It's
And
weird.
Miami 2020, so this is their fifth year. Yeah, so it's not quite. I mean, it's not. No efforts are made to balance this out.
For instance, when Vancouver went to the New York Red Bulls a couple weeks ago, that was the first time in 4 years they played as well. I guess Vancouver gets no games. I don't know what's up with Vancouver's not getting any love. But it's like, in my opinion, there should be a policy where it's cycled. If you didn't play last year, you get first dibs to play next year, right? Just to change it up. I don't know why it has to be LAFC.
I guess the math, according
every
to the
year.
math, if you did it equitably, then it would be every 3 years at least.
Right, which I think it should be the policy, right? If we want, we should put forth effort to balance out a regular season as much as possible. And if certain clubs just aren't playing each other, then it's another sort of variable in devaluing the whole regular season. It's just like, yeah, I got 30 points, but I got them all against Philadelphia. I've never played any other teams. I know it's an exaggeration, but do you understand what I'm saying? There should be policies in place to try to balance the schedule as much as possible. So it should be like, if you played LAFC this year, next year you play LA Galaxy as opposed to LAFC because you got to change it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this schedule is such a puzzle anyway. With these, in our case, in the case of NYCC, because of the baseball situation, and I don't know if that factors in to who they're picking, but yeah, okay. No, I would like to play Austin every year and go to Dallas for steaks and barbecue. Not Dallas, Austin, to Texas.
I'll go to Dallas too. I'll do
Dallas
that 70.
is, I think
You can watch me do that 76-ounce steak challenge I was talking
When
about.
I think steak, I think Dallas.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Texas, baby.
San Diego coming next year.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I realized I kind of have to let it sink in a little bit because I have so much soccer coming up. But this time next year, I guess San Diego is an active MLS team, and I could take maybe the Red Bulls go to San Diego and go down there and check out my Red Bulls down there. I don't know, but the San Diego Stadium is very cool. It's very unique. There aren't too many like it here in the States. It was like an old college stadium that they kind of expanded. So there's like a stand on one side, but then they built a couple of these bars that are on stages above the field, which is very unique. You don't really see that every day. And then the corner sections also have like tables, and then there's a section full of recliners where people, it's like the club seats kind of, but they have these like reclined seats, and they're just like watching the game on these full recliners. I'm just like, whatever that is, I want to figure out what that is. I want to figure that out. So it's a fun little stadium. It's a 35,000 seater too. It's not a small stadium.
Wow, that's big, yeah.
Yeah, and they're hosting San Diego. They host the San Diego Wave right now, and they're crushed with that. And then San Diego MLS is going to play there next year. So I'm definitely going to go down and visit.
Excellent.
Yeah, I believe it's a realistic goal.
I will go in 2029 when NYCFC will play there for the first time.
Maybe until it gets canceled. Yeah, I'll go in 2031 when the New York Red Bulls come on out finally. But yeah, no, I didn't have much this weekend. I was on a bye, so I was just watching, and I almost went to the LA Galaxy game. They played a good game against Houston because LA Galaxy revived this year. And I've discussed in the LA area, they are the most convenient soccer experience. As much as I love LAFC, just parking is a nightmare. But but I did not. I hung out at home, watched on TV, relaxed, chillaxed, had myself a good weekend. But on Wednesday, I'm going to go to either the LA Galaxy game or the LAFC game because we have midweek games this week.
Yeah.
On a rare Wednesday. Those are also nightmares to me because it's the rush hour traffic. It has to start at 7:30, and in Los Angeles, rush hours from 4 to 7:30 about. So I have to either go really early in the day and hang out at the IKEA or something, or I have to just like hang out in traffic for an hour and a half. We'll see. Usually it's the latter that wins out because I'm not amazing at pre-planning my day.
So I guess we're off for this Wednesday situation.
You have a Wednesday game?
No, we don't. We're playing on Friday. So I guess, yeah.
Is your Friday game the Wednesday round or the Saturday round?
I wonder. And do we know? Does it matter? I don't know.
It can't be because then you would have a game that Saturday, right? The next day, right?
Right. That's definitely not happening. We're not playing. After that, we're not playing again until the 14th. Again on a Friday against Columbus.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't explain that. It's good for every. You know, that's a blessing in disguise because I bet you the TV ratings are going to be higher for those games. It's a Friday night game.
Maybe.
People can tune in. It's off the weekends, not part of everyone's regular schedule.
Yeah. I mean, I like because I want to go to Vermont this weekend, so I'm happy to watch the game on Friday and then either drive after or drive up in the morning. We'll see. Yeah,
that's for you. That's for you. It's perfect for
they
you.
did that. Maybe, and then it's 2 weeks until another Friday game against Columbus, and then it's Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Then we have the big world tour. We're coming to the LA Galaxy on Wednesday, June 19th.
Are you going to be there for that game? No, right?
No.
I'll probably, like I said, I'll try to go to that game. Like I said, I like going to Galaxy games. I love going to LAFC games. They're more hip. They're more fun. It's like a nightclub vibe. But it's like right downtown, and parking sucks. It's just too expensive. LA Galaxy is in South LA. It's more in the burbs. But it's got like a summer concert vibe to it, a baseball atmosphere vibe.
Yeah, it's not. It's like they got a big lawn in the stadium.
Right.
It's more of a hangout kind.
It's like you're outside at a concert, kind of. Yeah. So they're both good vibes. I think people say LAFC does have the better atmosphere. I kind of get it's a little hipper, sure. And I like LAFC games. Don't get me wrong. I had a great time when I was there during the Red Bulls game. But for me, it's like, parking's $50, tickets are $50. I was just like, LA Galaxy, the parking ride is free. And this Wednesday, it's $20 ticket night. For $20, I got a seat in the lower bowl. For a penny pincher, it's a more affordable night out. I'll just say that.
Yeah, for sure.
And between the two, who's the stronger team this year? I mean, I'd argue the Galaxy, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for now, Olivier Giroud is coming.
He's coming. But maybe Marco Reus is coming.
And they're pretty close as it is. They're 1 point behind. Actually, hold on. LAFC is a point behind with a game in hand. No, they're very even.
Oh, I guess they're even.
Practically even with LAFC even slightly ahead. Both of which have worse records than New York City FC. New York City FC, fun stat. Next time we win, we will have matched our win total of last season.
Say that one more time. The really fun stat.
We have now won 8 games. Next time we win, we will have won 9 games, which is the number that we won all of last season.
Oh, there you go. What's the longest unbeaten streak you guys ever been on? Or winning streak?
The longest unbeaten streak, I don't know.
Winning streak.
This has been, somebody was saying the 4-game winning streak is the longest since 2022 for sure. I mean, that's not a big... yeah, I don't know. I mean, the most points we've ever had in the regular season is 60. I don't know if that's... if it's too soon to talk about that. We'll see.
Well, here we go. NYCFC during the Leagues Cup will have to play a knockout round match at UConn or Red Bull Arena. How do you feel about that?
I feel better about that than most.
It's gonna be Red Bull Arena, right? Haven't they made the decision it's Red Bull Arena, or has that been canceled because of all the backlash?
Or it's all the no. I think this has to be in their locker. There's not that many places to play. The Hartford thing doesn't work for anyone,
Right.
and
That's the
those
other
are
alternative.
kind of the options. I don't, I like going to Red Bull Arena every once in a while. I enjoy the Portuguese food and
The real stadium.
I think the stadium's nice. It's a real soccer stadium. I don't have any. I have no problem with that.
Okay, so here's something that I want to talk about. Unless
Okay.
you have something you're dying to talk about right now.
That's it. Thoughts
Okay.
on Daniel Young has thoughts on the baseball schedule and stadium availability for Leagues
Well, that's
Cup
why I
and
asked.
ICFC.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
I just put that on the thing, 100%. Yeah,
Exactly.
There's no choice. Where would you rather play, Red Bull Arena or UConn? I imagine it's Red Bull Arena, right?
Yeah, I don't like. I mean, the Hartford Stadium is great. I went there for the Germany game, but that's 2+ hours away. That's crazy.
For me, best soccer stadium in the boroughs has always been Coney Island Baseball Stadium. Whatever they got going on over there, that should be. It's a shame they can't host more games there.
Oh, because of the Cosmos? Well, the Brooklyn team is going to play there. The new Brooklyn USL team.
Good for them. Yeah,
But that's turf. It's turf.
Oh, well, they could change that. Oh, yeah, I guess before I get into my thing, there's been some positive developments in Jerry's world. AT&T Stadium has shared images that they're not just putting grass down for the summer. They're putting down a full irrigation system, and they're growing out the grass on the surface.
At where? I'm sorry. What did you say?
At AT&T Stadium in Dallas. In Arlington.
Okay.
Jerry's World, it's affectionally called. 'Cause
Jerry's World. I was
Right.
like, what? Okay.
Sorry,
okay,
the AT&T
got it.
Stadium,
NFL,
which was
an
this close to hosting an
NFL
World-
reference. I got it.
NFL reference. And, and last time Copa, I remember in Seattle, they just laid grass over turf, and that looks gross. And it's better than turf.
Yeah.
But AT&T released photos that they are putting in a full irrigation system and growing grass like from the ground up or something. They're putting forth effort to make it a real grass surface for the summer. And I'm really looking forward to the results because come this World Cup, every stadium's going to have a solution like that. Especially at a World Cup, you're not allowed to just put grass on turf. I think in 94, I'm curious what it was like in 94, but maybe turf wasn't as common back then. But so that's good news. Anywho, I love this is the Memorial Day episode. I want to talk a little U.S. soccer, a little American soccer with you, Bjorn.
Okay.
I love Brian McBride.
Okay.
He's an American soccer hero.
Sure.
He every now and then, and by that was like twice, he was an analyst on ESPN FC, and it was the best because he was like the anti-Craig Burley. He was like a reasonable person and offered good advice. And I just wanted more Brian McBride because Brian McBride spoke to me. When Zlatan made fun of MLS, Brian McBride called him a butthole on television, said he didn't like that and rubbed him the wrong way. And I was like, amen, brother. And when Brian McBride was asked questions, there was never Euro snobbery involved. He'd been in both. He played in Germany when he was a kid. He played in the U.S. He played in England. He was a big fixture at Fulham and London. He was one of the great Americans, pre-Dempsey over there. He's a very good, reasonable American soccer man.
Yes.
He's just a reasonable dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then he became the general manager of U.S. Soccer. He did that for a few years. And then literally he joined the Golasso Network recently. And I was like, oh, thank God I get to hear more of Brian McBride. But I'm not good at watching live TV. So like he's on the Golasso Network, but I never see him. However, he recently joined my favorite podcast, or one of my favorite U.S. soccer podcasts, because Jesse Marsh left to coach Canada, and there was a spot available on the podcast, and Brian McBride has replaced Jesse Marsh on the podcast, really seeming. So I get my dose of Brian McBride, and I love it. However, Brian McBride has blown up the internet, the U.S. soccer internet, I should say. I'm giving him too much credit if I say blew up the whole internet. He blew up the underground U.S. soccer internet with some of his takes, hot takes, if you will. And it leaves me in a funny place because I don't think he's wrong. Or shall I say, I think it puts a lot of perspective on where your opinion comes from. I'm going to say 3 things that Brian McBride said over the last 2 episodes
Okay.
that has caused the stirs online. You're a good neutral observer, Bjorn.
All right.
So tell me what you think.
Okay.
So the first thing was when they released the U.S. roster, Shaq Moore was involved, right? Shaq Moore is on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty surprising for the average fan, right? Because, like, what has he done for me lately? His
Well,
Nashville's
it's
not
because-
great right now.
It's because Destis hurt.
Yeah, I know, but then Shaq Moore is your first go-to over Scally or whatever. So,
But Scally's on the roster, no?
right, anyway, that's not the thing. So Shaq Moore is on the roster.
Okay.
And people are like, okay, Shaq Moore is there. But again, I understand this hurt. But Shaq was a big deal a couple years ago. But Nashville's been pretty blah. That he hasn't been. Walker Zimmerman's on the roster. Like the Walker Zimmerman Shaq Moore thing, I think has seen its better days. It's not in the best mode right now. But Shaq Moore still got a call up. Brian McBride was asked about this. And Brian McBride said Shaq Moore is the best one-on-one defender in the United States, in America right now. He said Shaq Moore is the best one-on-one defender in the U.S. program, is what he said. That's take 1. It's a little bit like, okay, wow, I feel really... And this is coming from Brian McBride, who was the general manager of the U.S. program up until Christmas. Like, he was... So this opinion's coming from someone who had muscle up until pretty recently. So that's take 1. Take 2 was that he was very surprised that Johnny Cardozo was involved in the roster because he doesn't rate Johnny Cardozo and doesn't think Johnny Cardozo's not really that great of a soccer player. He didn't say that, but he just said in the U.S. shirt he always struggled with us. And he's like, I understand he had a really good season in Spain, because he did. He freaking crushed it in Spain. I think he won the Young Player of the Year award, was nominated. Didn't he score or assist a goal against the Real Madrid game, the Toni Kroos goodbye game? He was playing in that game. And
Oh, did he? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, Johnny Cardozo is legit. When it comes to his club form, the dude is legit. But Brian McBride just didn't rate him. He's like, I wouldn't play him with Tyler because he just always struggles in the U.S. shirt. And he struggles with us. And that's just an interesting take. So he talks about how great Shaq Moore is, talks about how disappointing Johnny Cardozo is. That was last week. This week, Alejandro Zendejas was honored because he won back-to-back titles with Club America. They are the champions. And Alejandro Zendejas is a young American who is a key figure on Mexico's biggest club, arguably the most popular club in North America, one of the top clubs in Latin America, arguably. And they asked, shouldn't he be given a shout? I mean, he's a Club America star. He's not getting a national team. How could he get back in the fold? Brian McBride is like, well, he was really disappointing in a U.S. shirt. It's like he never performed with us. It's like, in order for him to get back, next time he has an opportunity, he has to perform, is sort of what his opinion on that was. And it's sort of, I haven't seen the backlash on that, but these are the types of takes you get from a Brian McBride. And you don't really hear that from too many other people. And I'm not disagreeing with any of them. But the fans definitely are up in arms of it. Literally, what I love about it is the exact opposite opinion of the average fan, where it's like, the average fan looks at players like 100%. If they're doing well in La Liga, then they are guaranteed the best player on the field over the guy who's doing well in maybe MLS or something, Where Brian McBride's point of view is 100% with not just your club form as part of it, but how good are you in a U.S. shirt is where he's coming from, I think. And I think for him it's maybe even a 50-50 or a 75-25, where if I think for the average fan it's almost 100% just your club form, right? It's like your national team form doesn't really enter the conversation until you're at a certain experience level, I would say. Like the whole Tim Weah over Gio Reyna stuff. So anyway, I just want to bring that up.
Yeah. How can I help?
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Do you think Brian McBride is nuts to say that Johnny Cardozo is disappointing and that Shaq Moore is the best defender that the U.S. program has? Do you think that's a crazy take, or do you think that's finally a take from someone who knows what they're talking about?
Just from my own, I mean, he clearly knows what he's talking about. From my own observations, I do like Shaq Moore. I think he is that rare breed of fullback who gets forward, but without really shirking his defensive responsibilities. I think that is something that he's good at. Now, you have the people who say he's an MLS, so that's always
Right.
that's a strike against him. But I mean, in that sense, this is sort of the sign of a what should I call the U.S. a developing? I mean, I think it's harsh to say a developing soccer nation, but it's like,
nation. No, that's accurate.
but I think it used to be like if you were playing anywhere in Europe, you were like an automatic national team player, like the mixed disc rule. Like you could, because there was just not that many. Now there's more people. Obviously, you're going to have some. That happens in every national team. There's some comparable players, and they get picked for fit, or they get picked because there's a certain system, or they fit. Why is Nico Schlotterbeck going to the Euro and not Mats Hummels? Because Nico Schlotterbeck is better than, I don't think so. But there's considerations with teams, and if you have a lot of good players to choose from, there's obviously these decisions are made that are subjective. Now Shaq Moore, in the eyes of U.S. men's, and the U.S. men's national team is special because it has such a dysfunctional fan base compared to other countries. And it's always the player. This is what I say all the time. It's always the guys that are not playing that are always the best. It's always like, oh well, look at these chumps that they're running out. They're terrible. How about this guy and this guy and this guy? And then this guy gets called in, and is also just a regular player like the others. And then it's like, oh well, but how about There's always these people. I agree with him. I like Shaq Moore. I agree with him on.
He's the best one-on-one defender in the U.S.
I mean, that's a pretty
better than Tim Ream, better than Jedi Robinson, better than Chris Richards. Do you think better than John Brooks? Huh?
Well, if you're picking a center, yeah, I guess I feel it's very hard to compare a center back to a fullback in that regard because there's so much more ground to cover. So
let's just stick with the fullbacks.
I mean, it's kind of
referencing fullbacks. Maybe it was fullbacks.
Yeah, I mean, among the fullbacks, I think it could be a fair assessment. Who's better? Who's like a better defender on fullback? Not Jedi Robinson for sure.
Yeah, or Serginho. Those are
or definitely not Serginho Dest. And I mean, I guess I don't know. Joe Scally might want a word, but I think that might be that. I don't think that's an outlandish take for sure. I think you can make that case. I would have a hard time. I mean, the center backs should be better one-on-one defenders because that's basically all they do. And but of the fullbacks, I think it's probably fair. I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think about his Johnny Cardoso?
I honestly can't say that I have a strong opinion about Johnny Cardoso. I have not seen that much of him. But yeah, La Liga midfielder at a high level. I mean, he certainly deserves.
He's up for an award. He's up for the young. He won the La Liga Young Player of the Year award.
He deserves a couple more chances. I don't think. And he's how old is he? He's
young. He's 20, 21.
He's 22. He's 22 years old. So he definitely. I don't think the door is closed for him. Right? No one's saying that. So
and also with Tyler Adams in doubt this summer, he might have a big role to play. Maybe.
So he's. I think he should get it. But I mean, there's also, especially with the European players, it's always a question as to how into it they are, and if they're not, then they shouldn't play. So I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's the case with him, but
I did have a feeling of that when I brought this. So I feel, especially as general manager, I think Brian McBride, in response to all the naturalized players being hit or miss, I think he's definitely coming from a place of we need to put more emphasis on how well people play within the badge versus not the badge. And I definitely think that's a place he's coming from, I'd have to say. Because I've definitely heard him complain before about players in 2006 not showing up. Like he's not necessarily related to the foreignness of him, but just the fact that he wants players to perform in a U.S. bag. Definitely is a
Well,
prideful
and
guy.
I mean, you want people to. I think that is a strength of the current team. It's like they are engaged and they're they're going.
Yeah.
We've talked about this last
the
time. They
core
go
definitely, yeah.
for better. Despite what a lot of fans think about Greg Berhalter, the players they show up for him, and and if somebody doesn't, then yeah, that's not helping anyone, no matter what kind of award he gets. So if that's a problem, I mean, yeah, and it's always like with the cultures and but it doesn't. I personally don't think what somebody's history is doesn't matter. I think Sergiño Dest is not really doesn't have that much of an American background, but he seems to be into
he
it.
plays
He's
for the badge. Yeah.
he's been engaged, and other people less so. I think Johnny Cardoso, yeah, who knows? He left when he was very young, right?
He's
he
Brazilian.
went to yeah.
left
So
when he was very young. I don't
so,
even think he speaks English that well. Yeah, I think
yeah,
he-
so who knows? And if he's into it, then great, and if he's not, then he's not. And Zendejas, I totally agree. I've seen a little bit of him, and he looked totally unconvincing for the U.S.
I remember him being good in January friendlies. That might have been a year and a half ago now already, or maybe even the last, because the latest friendlies maybe didn't show up so well. But it was someone like Kate Cowell, I think, really stuck out more than him, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's just we have all these great Americans in Mexico, and none of them are getting a shout in the senior team. The talk is maybe they'll get
Like Brennan
opportunities to-
Vasquez and
Brandon Vasquez, Kate Cowell, Alejandro Zendejas, and I guess those are maybe the main core, the guys who are doing well for big Mexican clubs and they're Mexican soccer stars right now. But when it comes to the national team, no, they didn't. None of they're 0 for 3 as far as the Copa.
But we also
preliminary
don't
roster.
have, like if you say, I mean, if MLS isn't good enough, then Liga MX isn't either. I mean, they're obviously
Seemingly
there's always
now, right? Yeah.
there's always that back and forth, and who's better. But like compared to the top 4, top 5 leagues of Europe, Liga MX and MLS are pretty similar. So if MLS only gets a couple players, I mean, MLS is there's 4 MLS players, and one is Sean Johnson, one is so
Oh, on the roster, yeah.
on the
Sean-
roster.
yeah,
So
3 or
it's
4.
so
Shaq
for
Moore,
either
Sean
for
Johnson.
either league, it's
Timothy Tillman.
it's hard to get it's hard to get on the roster. So which all means more talent in higher places.
Well, Timothy Tillman got in over Leonard Maloney.
Okay.
So good for him. But,
All right. But Leonard
Yeah, it's
Maloney
just-
is another one of those cases, right, where we don't know. Like, he doesn't speak much
and
English.
Timothy Tillman isn't?
No, in terms, well, yeah, I guess so. The Tillmans.
So are the Tillman.
Listen, there's too
a
many
lot of
Tillmans.
foreigners on the national team.
I can't keep track of all the Tillmans.
There's a lot. The United States national team always had naturalized players for the fact they didn't have many resources. Now that they have resources, part of the resources they're putting into is recruiting as many dual nationals as you can. And there's a lot. Definitely more now than there has been in the past.
Yeah, and
It's
some
not
are
necessarily
more
bad. I'd say it's a bad thing.
and some are more into it than others. It's just
Right.
normal, It's
Right.
a lot of
Christopher Lund, Leonard Maloney, the Tillman brothers, Sergiño Dest.
Yeah, and
there's
for especially for the Europe-based players, it's a big, know what to call it, burden, hassle. Those are big trips.
right.
Sometimes to go to, CONCACAF road games, to go to El Salvador, or you got to be into it. You got to be like,
Right.
this is the greatest thing. I mean, like Christian Pulisic, it's like you could, you can't hold him down. He's like
Right.
just relentless, and that's great. But if there's any kind of, I don't know, I'm just here because my agent said it was good for,
Right.
for
Get
Nick,
extra
it's like,
bonuses.
nobody needs that. That's not good for anyone.
No, it's not good for anybody. I'm not saying that's what Brian McBride is saying to go back. To the
Right.
point.
Yeah,
Brian
and exactly.
McBride definitely comes from the point of view of a guy who's very close to the program, very practical. Doesn't really, he's not a fan. I mean, he is a fan, but he's not a TV fan. He's a dude who has been a player and a manager and a professional his entire life. And he definitely cut, like, on the podcast today, the other podcast, someone asked the questions, if you could sacrifice one of your caps and give it to someone who never had a cap, who would it be? Which is a great question. Brian McBride brought up this obscure college player no one's ever heard of. And he's like, he was the best player he ever played with. But he broke his ACL or something and never went pro. But he was better than all of us. He's like, I'd give my cap to him. You know, and I'm like, amen.
All right.
It's so interesting.
Great.
Brian McBride also played with, here's a little U.S. soccer history for you. There's a guy named Tony Snow. Have you ever heard that before?
Tony Snow is on Game of Thrones.
Oh, I've never seen Game of Thrones. A guy named Tony Snow.
No, there's a bunch of Snows.
No, back
Anyway.
in the 80s, there were these
Jon
guys
Snow.
called-
Jon Snow.
Oh,
in
Jon
that
Snow.
show,
No, he's the lost Snow brother. No, there was Ken Snow and Tony Snow, I believe. I might be mixed up the names. They
No
were
idea.
these college soccer stars in the late 80s. And then Tony Snow was like the star of the Barcelona Olympics of 92, but was benched, had an attitude problem, and retired from soccer, never watched another game. I think he passed away recently, but up until recently, he ran a pizza place in Minneapolis. And people talk about him, just like you said. The best American players are those who never played. So they're like, Tony Snow is the first super legend. But Brian McBride is from the area, played with them, and had thoughts on how good they were. Like, he was there. Like, Brian McBride knows who Tony Snow is because he played with him. And he also played under Roy Hodgson in the English Premier League. I mean, the dude's been around. He's got both under his belt.
Yeah.
So I love hearing, he's like the anti-Craig Burley, and I love hearing his takes. But his takes are very unique. And his takes come from a manager who is very close to the program. So it's just an interesting point of view. I'm excited that Brian McBride is back in my life as a fan. And I'm very curious to hear more about his hot
I
takes.
gotta check out this podcast. Yeah, sounds
I'm
good.
also curious where I land on it. Right now I think I'm a little column A, a little column B. Like, I understand what he's saying, but I might feel he's maybe talking with a little bit too much of a homer mentality. And he's not respecting someone like a Johnny Cardozo enough, or someone like a Leonard Maloney enough. You know what I'm saying? Or just someone who plays in Europe, like something like a Gianluca Buzio, who's working his butt off in Italy right now. I don't know. Like, I'm curious. I think I'm a little column A, a little column B, maybe. Maybe I land somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Versus the fan who's like, if they're in Europe, like, why aren't you playing? Like, Tanner Tessman had a great game and promoted Venezia, and it's like, shouldn't he be in the national team? He's in Italy or whatever, you know.
That's
It's
no
like,
longer.
well, but it's Serie B, you know.
That's no longer the case. The second division people are not automatic anymore. That's just how it. I mean, some aren't. Some will fit. And some, Josh Sargent will get
Yeah, Haji
We'll
Wright.
get,
the
we'll get
English
another
second division
chance.
guys
Haji
are.
Wright will get another chance, but it's
The
not
championship
automatic.
the championship players have been chosen over the League MX players. Like,
Which is
Haji
fair.
Wright,
I
Josh
bet.
Sargent are in.
I think that's fair.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they think it's fair too. Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I can't tell you what's the harder league, League MX or Championship. I mean, I don't know.
Championship.
But not by a lot. You think by a lot? It's different styles.
mean,
Championship's
what's a
more
lot?
physical. More physical.
What's
League
a
MX,
lot?
they can
It's
get more
like,
space. You think Club America bows down to QPR?
Well, I think there's again, like Liga, it's again different. Like Liga MX, there's such a gap. The top teams are much better than the bottom teams, and maybe and that's true in the championship too. There's 46, there's 23 teams.
How about this?
I don't know. Would Club America get promoted
is in the playoff championship, whatever it's called, the playoff round? Would they win the playoff round? Would they knock off Leeds and Southampton and get promoted to the Prem?
I would say no. I would say they wouldn't.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Something to think about. 'Cause it is apples and oranges, but there's something to think about. Anyway, that was really the only thing I'm pondering.
Okay.
Not much going on. U.S. the Copa America roster's out. I'm just worried about Tyler Adams. It's a 27-man roster. I have a sinking feeling that Tyler Adams is going to have to be cut, and then we have to come up with a plan for Serginho Dest and Tyler Adams. That's a big mountain to climb for the U.S. national team right now. It's a
Well,
big
with the
mountain to
midfield,
climb.
we had an extra. If Gio's playing, there's an extra spot, right? So that's if
Yeah, it'd be Gio, McKennie, and
and
Musa.
and,
yeah.
Musa has to play the 6. He's done pretty well with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm up for give it to Johnny. The dude's been proving it in the league. Just let him integrate more. The other thing about the right back solution is people want to put Timo Weah back there as opposed to.
I mean, that's his club spot,
yeah,
right?
for the most part. I think also Musa's played there a little bit. I guess I'm in the minority here. Just give it to Scally, man. I know he had a rough outing in his last few U.S. jerseys. Mentally pick himself up and earn it. And be like, show us what you got. Be the right back for, just give it to Scally. Would be my take. Cool. Well, there you go. That was a fun Memorial Day soccer special.
Yeah.
NYCFC, you're flying high, Bjorn. NYCFC
doing
is
great.
doing well. Bochum's back in the Bundesliga.
Bochum's back. Who knew? I mean, shocking.
Yeah, he thought on Thursday. He
Yeah,
thought
my
that was
teams
the end
are
of it.
my teams are doing great.
I had a bye, so I had nothing going on this weekend.
You're just
And we got-
yeah.
And we've got Columbus Crew this weekend, also playing against going to Mexico, playing. Who are they playing? Not who are they playing?
Oh, the
Monterrey.
final is this weekend?
Yeah, it's on the June 2nd, isn't it?
Oh, is that true?
Columbus Crew versus Pachuca. It is Saturday, right after the UEFA Champions League final.
Oh, double header. That sounds
Double
great.
header.
I'm
We got
excited.
Dortmund and Columbus. Blau-Gelb.
Blau-gelb
Not
all
Blau-gelb.
around. Is it going to be a
Schwarzgelb,
Schwarzgelb? Is it going to be a
Schwarzgelb.
black, yellow and black
Saturday.
day? Saturday?
Both are underdogs. It's two
Yeah.
underdogs in a row, I'd say. So let's go black and gold. Huh?
All right.
Let's go black and gold. All right. Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Bis
We'll
nächste
see you
Woche.
next Monday.